Hi guys, it's Amanda Clark Katz with Amanda Does Food. This used to be one of my favorite menu items in any Italian restaurant in Manhattan when I lived in Manhattan in my early 20s. And it's so delicious and so simple, and the sage gets really crispy in the brown butter. It's so delicious. Even my husband, who doesn't like the orangey squashes like pumpkin and butternut squash, he really doesn't love that kind of squash, and he loves this recipe. You guys are gonna love it, especially when you see how elegant it is and how quickly it comes together. Today we're gonna make a super yummy but really easy pumpkin ravioli with a brown butter sage sauce. And it comes together so fast because I have a little secret as to how to get the ravioli together. We're using wonton wrappers, and wonton wrappers are basically pasta, so they're a great way to get homemade ravioli on the table in minutes. It takes no time at all, especially this recipe. It's gonna be really fast and really easy. All right, let's get you guys in the kitchen with me cooking. Okay, let's start off here at the counter, and we'll get our filling for our ravioli together, and then we'll assemble our ravioli. Then we'll head over to the stove and we'll get the brown butter sauce going with the sage and the pine nuts and the Parmesan cheese. It's gonna be delicious. All right, first for our filling, the star ingredient is a 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree. And this actually makes your ravioli much easier than making it with, let's say, butternut squash. It's right there ready for you, already cooked and pureed. And we'll get the entire thing in there. Then we're going to add 1 egg yolk. And I'm gonna save the egg white because, you know, you can throw it in a scramble, egg white frittata, omelet, whatever you like. But we just need the yolk for this recipe. All right, we got that in there. We'll set that aside. And now we need a 1/4 cup of whole milk ricotta cheese. Good 1/4 cup in there. And we need a tablespoon of honey. And we need a little bit of ground nutmeg. And I have a whole nutmeg here, and I'm just gonna ground this up myself on my microplane, my trusty microplane that I use all the time for so many things. And this won't taste nutmeggy. It will just kind of give it a more complex flavor and warm it up a bit. All right, we've got that in there. And next we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And we'll kind of stir that all up. My twins are just coming in through the back door. All right, we'll stir that all up. Get that nice and incorporated. And all right, so we've got that all mixed up. Let's make our egg wash. And we're gonna need 2 eggs with just a little bit of water whisked together. And let me just grab some water. And let's whisk that all together. And this will be the binder for our ravioli. And what I really like about this ravioli is that the dough can be kind of thick, and because we're using wonton wrappers, they're very thin, so they feel very light and you get a lot of the filling. And you can use square wonton wrappers or you can use round ones. And they're found in your Asian section, usually, well, at least in my grocery store, in the refrigerated Asian section. So I have round wonton wrappers here. They're nice and thin, and they're really just pasta. So we're going to make our ravioli now. We're all ready. It was that easy. So let's grab our filling. Let's assemble, get a nice assembly line. Oops, we forgot to season. I forgot to season. Let's season up the filling for our ravioli with some kosher salt. And we need some freshly ground black pepper. And I always add a little more black pepper because I like black pepper. All right, let's give that a nice stir. And our filling is ready to go. So I like to do it with 2 spoons. And I take one wonton wrapper right here, and I have a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. And we're going to kind of assemble them on our sheet pan because we're going to put them in the refrigerator to have them set for about 20 to 30 minutes. And over on the stove, I have a pot of boiling water. I have a pot of water that is boiling with salt. And you want to make sure you always season your boiling water with salt so that your pasta, it's your only chance to really season the pasta itself. All right, let's get going. I'll show you how to make one, I'll do them all, and then I'll bring you over to the stove and show you how we get that together. All right, so we just need a little bit, and you wanna make sure you don't put too much because you want to make sure you can seal the edges, and you wanna kind of push the air out when you're sealing the edges. So let me grab my egg wash. And I'm gonna use my fingers. You can use a brush, but this is how I like to do it with my fingers. And then we're going to put another wonton wrapper over the top. And while you're doing it, you wanna kind of make sure you're pressing the air out. And there we have one ravioli. You wanna make sure they're nice and sealed and the filling stays in the middle and the air is kind of pushed out so that you don't have leakage in your boiling water. And there you have one ravioli. They're so cute, they're so beautiful and delicious. So I'm gonna get the rest of these made, and I'll meet you down at the stove and show you how we assemble the rest. Okay guys, my ravioli are done. Look how beautiful they are. I'm gonna stick them into the fridge for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'll bring you over to the stove. We'll get the brown butter going, and once they're in the hot water, they take like 3 minutes. It's easy, it's elegant, it's delicious, it's impressive, so just stay tuned. Okay guys, while our ravioli's in the refrigerator getting nice and set, let's get our brown butter sauce going. All right, so let's get our burner going on low. It's really, really important to take this step slow. The whole process will take about 10 minutes. So let's get a stick of butter, which is 8 tablespoons, into our pan on low, and we're just gonna let that melt super duper slow. And we'll watch this. The whole process takes about 10 minutes. We want it to get like brown and nutty, nice and slow. We don't want burned butter, we want browned butter. So keep your eye on it. Once it's melted, we'll put the sage leaves in and they get nice and crispy and it's super yummy. This has been melting for about a minute. It's melting nice and slow, and that's what you want. All right, it's been another minute or so. Oops, wrong utensil. And I'm gonna stick our beautiful sage leaves in here. I have tiny sage leaves because they're young. They're from my plant. They're velvety, they smell delicious. But usually I have larger sage leaves. I'm gonna give that a stir. And they'll get nice and crispy, and the butter will get nice and brown and toasty. Okay, it's been a few more minutes and our butter is getting nice and nutty. It's slightly golden brown and you can smell it. It smells nutty, it smells delicious. And our water is at a boil, so I'm gonna switch spots with our water and bring our ravioli over. Okay, I'm gonna do 3 ravioli at a time, and our water is really boiling. They're only gonna take about 3 minutes. And they're gonna sink to the bottom first, and then they'll float when they're ready. And I'm just gonna give a little zhuzh just to make sure they're not sticking to each other. And I'll bring you right back in about 3 minutes. Our brown butter is nice and brown and toasty, and the sage leaves are nice and crispy. So that's done, and I'm gonna set this aside to wait for us. Okay, our ravioli is done. It's floating. Actually, let me get you a better view. Okay, it's floating, they're dancing around, they are done and they're ready to come out. And look at how cute they are. Look how beautiful they are. You've got your little homemade delicate ravioli. And I'm just gonna place them on our serving platter and then get the rest of them going. And then I'll top them with that delicious brown butter. And drain them pretty well so you don't get a watery sauce. I'm gonna put the next 3 in. And I will bring you back when they're all ready and I'm plating. Okay, all of our ravioli are done. Let's plate it up. All right, we have our yummy brown butter and crispy sage leaves. Smells amazing. We're just gonna pour that over the top. Our nutty butter. And let's get our sage leaves out. Kind of arrange them on the top. It smells so good in here, like toasted butter. It smells so good. And then we're going to get some Parmesan cheese on here. And it kind of melts in. It's, oh God, this is so yummy. It's one of my favorite dishes. And some toasted pine nuts. And that is it. Look how gorgeous that is. Okay, I'm going to photograph this and then I'll be back to taste it, which is the best part. Okay guys, let's taste this. It looks delicious and it smells delicious. I have one ravioli here off of my beautiful platter. This has always been one of my favorite dishes and it's homemade. Oh, napkin on the lap. Always good. I usually make this in the fall, but I really had a craving for it and it's so, so yummy and easy. I really hope you guys give this one a try. I had to have another one. They're so yummy.